This week we are in Athens as college football kicks off in a major way. Bulldog fans, get an update on Sanford Stadium upgrades, daily life with Coach Smart, and a vibe check of the athletic department with Georgia University Athletic Director Josh Brooks.
Bulldogs fans, this episode of One Star Recruits is brought to you by 500level.com. Go get all the dog shirts on 500 Level. Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, Dark Horse Rookie of the Year pick. Also, Stetson Bennett, the Georgia Legends, mystery shirts, $10. Get 20% off everything on the site with the discount code DKandRIP at checkout. That's DKANDRIP. 500level.com. Let's go.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the show. Welcome, college football fans. Welcome, Georgia fans. Kickoff week. Kickoff week also means school week, not only for these schools, but for everybody. Every year, my co-host here, Rip, his entire ethos changes about this time of year. And it's not a full moon. Mercury's not in retrograde. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's for worse. So I don't know what I'm getting with Rip this time of year. School is back in session for his kids. So before we get to Georgia vibe check, Rip, energy and vibe check for you, bro. Am I going to have to carry this show today?
I'll do my best, but I'll be honest, I'm a little flustered. It's the first day of school for us out here in California, and the school system out here does something crazy. They give an early dismissal on the first day, so the kids get out at 1 o'clock, which is basically lunchtime. They get out at 1 o'clock. Tomorrow, it's back to a normal day, 2:05. Thursday, they switch it up, and it's another early day, but not 1 o'clock. It's 1:30. Then Friday, it's back to 2:05. So I'm all over the place. I'll probably miss a kid pickup at some point this week, but I'm here. I'm on the pod, and we're ready to go talk Georgia football.
Well, don't miss an AD at an athletic director. We've been on a hot run, at least. Don't let that slip through the cracks. We'll be on Clemson, by the way, next week. We got Graham Neff coming next week, but this week we're in Georgia with a good friend of his, Josh Brooks. A lot of good stuff going on. You're going to hear us talk over and over again about developments in college football because it's setting the bar essentially for the future of sports in revenue generation and how people get paid and how the whole system works. At the end of the day, it comes down to football and winning. That's what it comes down to, Rip. The last time the Georgia Bulldogs opened their season in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, a guy, Malachi Starks, bro, became a household name. He was introduced to the world. Now he's back. He's a leader amongst men on this defense. The best defensive back / safety in college football with the best defense. One-star recruits are here. We're learning about it, bro. This Saturday, it's coming up. Take on Clemson. A battle in the trenches between some big-ass lines, some athletes. If you love football, you love this game. You're also going to love really the best defensive and offensive lines that you might see all year of college football fans. So good stuff coming. Running back room's a little bit in question. It's the only thing up in the air in Bulldog Nation right now. Have you switched over, Rip, from baseball dad, summer guy to football guy yet? Have you made the switch?
I'm getting there, and I'll tell you what, our weekend trip to Laughlin, Nevada this week is going to help because it's going to be nonstop college football. We're going to be gambling on it. We're going to be watching it. It's a 9 a.m. wake-up call for Georgia Clemson for us out west. Are you going to be sober and awake for that game, DK?
The Chamber of Commerce in Laughlin better be paying you, Rip. Are you going to slip them in every fucking week? Every week it's happening? Laughlin's going to get a rip read from you?
Look, we're 48 hours out at this point. I can't not bring it up, DK. This is in the immediate future now. It's not just a distant light ahead in the end of the tunnel. It's in the distant future. It's in the immediate future.
I've switched over. I'm football mode. It kicked off. Hawaii beat the hell out of Delaware State, bro. Welcome me back. You'll hear athletic director Josh Brooks. He goes into more detail about some of the behind-the-scenes football stuff with the Georgia NIL plan and vision. But 2024 has been an interesting case study, Rip, in partnership opportunities, especially with a team like Georgia with a ton of talent, winners, and big personalities. Announced this week, quarterback Carson Beck. You'll see him repping some brands, Rip. This is new, so this is fun to talk about. He's going to be repping EA College Sports Football, paid. Airstar Charter is the name of the company. It's a private aviation company, a bit controversial. Hold that. I'll ask you about that. Beats by Dre. And then you'll remember probably earlier in the summer, you saw Carson rocking a $300K Lambo, a Urus. So examples kind of being set by the richest of the rich, the best quarterback on the best team, setting the stakes here for what it could be. On a positive note, I know he's hooking up his line. I think he had a deal with Georgia Power, and he ended up taking care of his offensive line. He's spreading some of the wealth. He's spreading the love. What do you think, Rip? Who are you picking? If you're the quarterback and you have private aviation options, who flies on the flight with you? I mean, that's problematic right there to me. Who are you picking? Your O-line, your receiver? Who are you taking?
How many seats are on that jet? I'm getting the biggest one I can that probably holds about 12, and I'm bringing the entire starting offense. I mean, I know there's 11, but you maybe got a seat for your dog, maybe your mom. You bring your mom in the 12th seat, or perhaps the backup center. I mean, you got to keep your guys. I'm getting the biggest jet I can, man.
Interesting times. I mean, I don't even know the details. And most likely, DK, you're so dumb. It's contracted out where he can only use it for summer trips and maybe fly his family or something. And yes, he flies with the team. That would make more sense to me, but I don't know. Nobody really fully knows how this is all working. So Josh goes into some of that a little bit as far as just how the sausage is made and how they're starting to look at things on the athletic department. This guy Starks, a deal with Roback closed. Great deal. Roback, Beats by Dre. EA Sports seems to be everywhere. And then the Associated Credit Union locally. Like that partnership. But, dude, by the way, Rip, did you see what Deion Sanders did? He continues to be a marketing master with the local credit union. Did you read about this?
I read that he's not talking to some reporters. What's he doing with the credit union?
Oh, he's not talking to reporters, and Debo's not talking to reporters either. So that's the new thing right now. We're not talking to reporters, except for one stars. They're coming on here to talk to us, which is a wild turn of events. Change the scenery for us, Rip, a little bit. Local credit union, though, Elevations. What a name for a Boulder, Colorado credit union. Kudos to your marketing department. They're opening up bank accounts for all of his players that will start with $2,121. 2121. Sanders at Hall of Fame NFL number that he rocked. So he's noticing these players getting money and not having even a place to put it. So he started right there with the credit union. Not bad marketing. You also get a bunch of benefits with Colorado football if you go open a checking account at the credit union. You see how it goes, Rip? Deion's probably getting a little piece of all of that. A genius over there. But times are changing. Things are changing. Enjoy this interview with Georgia Athletic Director Josh Brooks.
Now joining the One Star Recruits podcast, we have a native of Hammond, Louisiana, a husband, a father, the current director of athletics at the University of Georgia, and the second sub 6-minute miler we've ever had on this podcast. Josh Brooks is on with the One Star Recruits. Thanks for hopping on, Josh.
Thanks for having me. I'm not sure I can hit that sub 6 today, but I've done it. I've done it twice, and maybe one day I'll do it again. But
I was going to ask you about it. It's got to be an incredible feeling. We had Boston Marathon and New York City Marathon winner Meb Keflezighi on the podcast a couple of years ago. He runs 4-minute miles, but I mean, those two you hit aren't really far behind that. What can you set the stage on where that took place, and how are you feeling when that was over?
so I started Orange Theory about 4 or 5 years ago, and then that's when you're running like 7:30, 7:45, just a respectable mile, and then you start getting down to 7:15, 6:45. And you're like, all right, 6:30 is the next. I hit that 6:30 goal. I hit that, and I'm like, all right, I know now what I need to do to hit 6 minutes. I need to run it 10 miles an hour for 6 minutes, set the treadmill, set it, forget it. You can do anything for 6 minutes. And you get about the first minute, you're okay. Minutes 2 through 4, you're like, what am I doing? Why did I do this? And then it's like self-preservation. I'm not going to embarrass myself, And then once you get to 4 minutes, you're like, all right, I have 2 minutes left. I can do this. And then 1 minute left, you got to kick it up a little bit because then really the treadmill doesn't start as fast. So you can go up to 10:5 or a little, and then you finish. And I think I hit 5:55 or something. But now people are like, oh, you need to go for 5:30 or 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't know, man. This may be a one and done for me, but we'll see as I get back into it a little more. My son runs it. He came to class with me that day. He's 15. He was 14 at the time, and the treads only go up to 12 miles an hour at the class where I go. So even with that, the best he could run was like 4:55 with an incline or whatever. And he hit 455 and just like laughed at me when he was done. I was like, appreciate it, buddy.
This is the calmest the conversation we've ever had about sub 6 minute miles. I'm still on the 10 to 12. This is very impressive. This is unexpectedly impressive.
Well,
Especially
I would claim that I'm probably the least looking person that could ever run a 6 minute mile.
thank you. I mean that's I like that honestly because that's kind of why it's a little bit more unexpected here, but it's inspiring. I'm going to get my times up
But
now.
I don't think there was ratings back in 1997, but I think I definitely would have been a one-star recruit. I got one school recruited me to play football, and it was Lambeth University in Tennessee. And I think there was no scholarships. It was just basically, would you like to come play? And that was it. So no visits, no NIL deals, no nothing. Just a
None of that. What position?
linebacker.
Middle linebacker. Nice. Quick linebacker with the speed.
6 minute mile, but 6 second 40, right? Is that what?
Yeah,
that
it
what you
was,
got?
it was, it was pushing 5 flat. I wasn't, I made up for it with, hopefully good intuition because I was not the fastest, biggest, strongest. Just got by. But
Well, I see a fundraising challenge and a fitness challenge in the future for Georgia alumni in the 6 minute mile or less to raise money for.
I'm liking that a little NIL challenge. We
I
can
wasn't
make
even going to say. I wasn't even going to say
if you-
NIL. I was
if you
going to
beat
say
me- if
more
you beat me,
renovation.
we give you tickets to a game, and if you lose to me, you got to donate to the collective or something. Like
Yeah, I was even going to say just renovations on the new stadium. We can just put them that way. You got plenty of money that has to go. The
Yeah.
P&L's nuts for you guys. I know it's going all. Let's talk about that. It's actually been crazy because it's like you guys are in the hotel business all of a sudden. The number one thing most fans want to know across the country is what's going on with renovations in the offseason. This is the first year in sports that I've heard this a lot in college sports.
Yeah.
You hear it more in pros with the suite development and all the
Yeah.
extra revenue generating centers. We call them on that side. But let's talk about Sanford Stadium. Enhancements, home opener, it's coming up.
Yeah.
We're talking press box. I think premium seating. Are we done with phase 2? Give us the rundown. Let's hear it.
we're very close. If y'all could fly in the night before the game, we may be doing some last minute painting. We can get you a couple seats if y'all grab a paintbrush.
Easy, Josh. We might be there. We've been wanting to go to Georgia.
You got an open invitation anytime you want to come. I got you taken care of. But the name of the game now is trying to generate more revenue, right? So and it's two-piece, right? It's not only the seat you're selling game to game or season to season, but it's leveraging people that have been donating to acquire points to get in the best seats possible. And at some point you run out of inventory and you're like, we have to keep creating new levels of premium. And really the long-term goal is stratified premiums, right? So you've got different levels of experiences so you can offer different experiences to all your fans. But we, look, a stadium that was built in 1929, as many in the SEC and across the country are, you got to get in there and find out what you can do. And oftentimes it's challenging. But I always say the decisions we make we can't think of it in a 3-5 year cycle. We got to think 20 years from now. One of my goals is the person that gets this job after me, hopefully that's a long time, will say, thank you so much for doing these things that have set us up for success. Because we can't just see it so myopically just right now in front of us. But, that's the name of the game, many places. So one of the traditional things is we've been letting the press sit in that sweet spot, 40 to 40, great view. Like, look, we can move them over a little bit, still give them a great experience, but now take that same area and turn it into our most dynamic premium area. And we've called it the 1929 Club in reference
Cool.
to the year the stadium was built. And we think it's going to be the nicest premium we've ever had. And now I think it's going to open the door for us to look at other areas, whether it be on the other side of the stadium, to what can we keep creating and generate more revenue and creating more opportunities for our high level donors. And I know some people counter that with saying, look, it seems to be that you're focusing a lot on the high donor levels in their experience. But and I can remind everyone, those donors that give millions plus, they essentially are help subsidizing our program to where we can maintain tickets at a fair price, right? Because if we've got 150 people that have given $1 million, that allows us to keep building facilities going without having to massively raise ticket prices, without having to massively raise donation levels for just the 300, 200, 100 level seats. So it's a give and take, right? Because those high level donors are helping us so much.
Yeah, and I think people are getting more used to nowadays. We understand going to Falcons games. I'm in the Bay Area. I was going to Warriors games. I know it's not 2008 anymore. we expect things to change with getting better. Any more details on that premium section? We got seat warmers. We doing any premium food options? You got any more hot details
Yeah.
in there?
Extreme food, like really, really nice high-end food. We want it to be, obviously down here, we get to go visit Augusta and we get to see what they do at Berkman's place and now Mappy.
Ooh,
You really want to try to, and it's possible, it's impossible to do it as well as no one does as good as Augusta, but you really try to steal that blueprint and go really high-end food, high-end service, high-end experience, nice chairs, nice view, great TVs, the full white glove service from when they pull in to get in. You want it to be so nice that anyone that didn't get in hears about it and says, man, we messed up. We want to get in. So that when you create your next one, you generate interest there. But it's also a way to thank you for those fans because every one of those fans or donors in those seats have done a tremendous amount to support us. So it's really our way of thanking them for all they've done to this
yeah.
point.
Even a little additional thank you maybe has been done. I don't know. The Wi-Fi got a mediocre mark. Been getting mediocre from press. How's that Wi-Fi? Are we getting that thing upgraded?
I'm kind of split on that right now, right? So number one, Wi-Fi in a stadium of our size is a $10 million hit. And as I'm balancing my priorities and what I'm trying to do facility wise, that my first focus is always on, I've got to start with the student athlete experience first and foremost. And we've had some things we've had to get straight there. So it's just hard for me to allocate 10 million to that right now as I'm balancing other things. Number two, it's a $10 million expense today. And that doesn't buy you long-term success. That could be another $3-4 million upgrade in 3 or 4 years, as we know technology goes. The other piece of it is 5G technology is getting better and better. We've worked with our cell companies to increase the distributed antenna system throughout the stadium. We've made some improvements with one carrier. I think another carrier is coming online this year. So I think we'll have much better coverage, and what they're providing in there is going to give you not too dissimilar experience from Wi-Fi. And then the last piece, I'll say this, and this is going to be a controversial take. We were playing Tennessee 2 years ago. They came in ranked number 1. We were number 2 in the CFP, and it was an electric game. And there was a point in the game where it started raining, and you thought, oh no, we're going to lose the crowd. The crowd got louder during the rain. And I have a theory why.
Because the Wi-Fi went out.
Well, no, they put their phones in their pockets
went away.
because they didn't want their phones to get wet. So at that point in time, they put their phones away and they were fully engaged in the game, and they got in. They had both hands free to clap and do whatever, and they got into it. So I'm going to go a little bit controversial and almost say, guys, you know what? I know you want to keep up with scores from the games, but when balls in play, like they do at a concert or comedian show, put your phone away, get dialed into the game, and enjoy the experience. You'll have plenty of time to tweet about it later, So I get it. Commercial breaks, you want to check scores, things like that. But let's get off social and let's dial into the game and be a better version of ourselves for supporting the team and making noise. So
I think you're spot on. Nah, semi-hot take, but also spot on when you talk to some students nowadays. The vibe's changing. People are going, I went from a smartphone to a dumb phone. I think experience and being a part of community is something we've been lacking for many years since COVID. And concepts like that are not as hot. I think they're actually trending in a direction where we'd like to see. I would even be okay with people locking their phones up when they came in just for those 2 hours to feel that again. I think it's super cool. Yeah, that's very smart.
And look, there are more and more concerts nowadays where artists are making you lock up their phones because, it is kind of a little sad when you go to a concert and everyone's got their phone up and they're all recording. And it's like, dude, just be in the moment a little bit. I get it if there's a favorite song that you want to get this one song, but for the rest of the show, be in the moment and put your phone away. You can go a couple hours without checking Instagram or Twitter, get in, enjoy the moment. You got the other 20 hours of the day to mess around on social media.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing that number too. I mean, quick hot spin, 10 mil, relatively significant number.
In today's age where we now have to account for as the settlement's coming online and we're looking at 22% rev share, these dollars are real now. So we've got to think, and you're going to start seeing with that facilities slow down to a certain degree. There's always going to be some needs, but you're going to have to balance that a little more. And a lot of the facility growth you're going to see is going to be around revenue generation. It's going to be, okay, if we do this, now we're going to focus on how this can generate revenue for us, either through donations or the long-term sales yearly of this area.
Yeah, and I think we get it. And I think we get it. Cool. Nice. You're on it, Josh. This is very awesome to hear. This is very refreshing to hear that the future looks clean. You going to do it in-house? Or you going to look at bringing in like a Play Fly or a Legends? Or are you guys going to keep everything in-house?
We've got a great partnership with Learfield right now. I think as you look at our collective, the Classic City Collective, I do think there's going to be some opportunities for that to evolve over time and what that's going to look like a year from now. As we learn more about the enforcement and rules around the settlement, it could create the pathway of them shifting their priorities and what they do, because we're going to have to be compliant with the rules. So getting a true understanding of what they can and can't do is going to guide what they're going to be able to do. And they may look more like they could look more like a marketing agency in the future for student athletes, helping them arrange deals.
They're all chasing you. So you're the dynasty now. They're gonna all be chasing you because everybody wants to get on your squad. 2 national championships in 8 years. Your relationship with Coach Smart has been really something in the national media that we applaud. We all applaud. High praise from NFL coaches. Just recently, DeMarco Ryans really praised the pipeline y'all have built together. What are the top 3 daily practices that coach has implemented that have positively affected yourself and the winning culture in the athletic department? Just give me a top 3.
I think it starts with no complacency in anything we do. And that's as every detail of the day. That could be from the timing we take of scheduling meetings and things, to how we operate at practice, to how we just respond to anything in general. There's just no allowance for complacency. And I think that he has been the influence to the rest of the department, and hopefully that's permeated throughout all of us, is that, yes, we can be happy with what we have and we can be, appreciative, but there's never a time to truly just think we've made it. And I think that's a key piece for him and us, is just, even after 2 national championships, it's we know we're starting back from zero. I think he's also a player's coach. I think that would, sometimes when you come across as tough as he is, it may get hidden in it, but he's someone who's always advocating for our players first and foremost. He cares about them. He cares about their experience. He cares about the young men we're developing. And look, I know we've had some headlines in the media with different issues, but I can promise you, between Coach Smart, myself, and our staff, no one works harder at it than we have. And obviously we've gone through some rough times, but it's something we take seriously. It's something we take a lot of pride in. And I think that's another piece, is the development care for our student athletes. Third thing.
How about you personally? Anything he's hit you with and you've moved into your life?
I think it's just an understanding of, and this is going to sound a little different because I know people talk about getting away, and we try to get away, but this job's a job of love, and it's a job that you do, that you look. I'm on 365, 24. I mean, there's not many moments where I'm not. I mean, there could be a doctor's appointment every now and then or something, but even on vacation, I'm still living this job. This job is lively to me. But he's also modeled this, and I've followed as well. We both have children in the same age range. When we can carve out time with our kids, and sometimes you have to integrate that in what you do. I think that's key, because we're living Georgia athletics. He's living Georgia football 24/7. So the more I can integrate, and I can take my son to a game with me, I could take my wife to a game with me, things like that, to where I can integrate my family into my work life. Because to think you're going to just separate it is not possible. Because there's going to be an issue where I'm at the dinner table and there's a call I got to take. But trying to bring them into my life as much as possible and bring this all together is the best way I know how. And then making this tough decisions of saying, look, this can wait. I'm going to my kid's football game tonight. I'm going to hopefully leave here at 4:30 today. My son's got a football game an hour away at 5:30. And I don't feel bad about leaving today at 4:30 to go to the game, because I know that on that drive, my phone's on, and I know that during the game, my phone's on, and on the way back, my phone's on, and we're working all day, every day. I mean, I've yet to set, in 4 years, I've yet to set my email to automatic replies. that's not a bragging point. It's just the way I operate. So staying on top of things and trying to do the best you can about your job, but just understanding that this is a privilege to serve in this role. So I'm not going to say, well, I need to get away. I do, but I love it. I live this job. It's what I do.
I
So
think we get it. Yeah, I think we get it. And I said it in the intro. I don't know if we said it when recording, but it's the wild, wild west situation, listeners. This athletic job situation. Really picture kind of a big tech CEO now, because you're swimming in unknown waters, making decisions with fairly big consequences that, think as your investors, as your alumni, as your student athletes. So respect. Maybe you can clear your mind and take some more time out. I know Coach Smart helped get some grass going in the practice fields over at a new track location.
yes,
Any breaking news there? Are we going to get a track league started? We're going to be a hub in Georgia for track and field? We're going to capitalize on this moment in the Olympics?
we are. I'm very passionate about track and field. One of my children is big into it. He's a aspiring decathlete. I love the sport of track and field. I love swim and dive. I love what it means for the Olympics. I love our involvement in it and how this country supports the Olympic sports through college athletics, like we do in swim and dive and track and field. We're building a new track right now. We broke ground on it this month. It'll be complete January of 26, and then that'll allow us to move the old track and obtain some more grass fields for Kirby and the team. But this track we're building, look, Oregon is a whole nother level of facility, but this is going to be a facility that I think it's going to be one of the best in the Southeast, one that could bring in USATF meets, AAU meets, maybe some other one-off meets. But getting those young men and young women on our campus, those kids on our campus, I believe, can lead to better things down the road. So hopefully we can be a beacon for a lot of meets in the Southeast. And we want to be the most dominant track program in the country, hands down, men and women. I think we're building right now. I think our women's team is really loaded for the spring. Our men's team is young, but we're building there as well. And I'm excited with the reduction of scholarship limits, what that's going to allow us to do, especially with cross country here at Georgia and growing our track programs, because that's an important one to me. And I think that's one we can have a chance because of our talent in our region, one that we can be very, very successful at.
I like an indoor track league. I've heard rumblings of that before. Maybe this could be a hub or a stop along the way once everything's said and done. All right. Before I give it to Rip for 1 to 5 star, you're from Hammond, Louisiana. Let's play a game. We like to understand, how Hammond are you? I got 3 quick questions. You ready? All right.
For the people back in Hammond here.
Yeah, this is for our Hammond folks here. So Hammond's about 45 minutes from, I'm going to massacre this, Lake Pontchartrain, which is known for
close enough.
Thank you, Josh. It's known for a causeway that runs over it, longest continuous bridge in the world, 24 miles long. Okay, here's the question: what is the average depth of Lake Pontchartrain? Multiple choice: 12 to 14 feet, 25 to 30 feet, or 75 to 80 feet. I know you swam in it.
I'm gonna say average. I'm gonna say B.
B. Incorrect. It is more shallow than we expect. 12 to 14 feet.
Really?
Loaded with carp.
Yeah, loaded with a lot of things.
We had Ward Manuel on the AD at Michigan, and he grew up in New Orleans, and he went with a deep. He thought it was 75 to 80 feet deep, but yeah, it's remarkably shallow, 12 to 14 feet.
I would not have guessed that, but I would have leaned more deeper. I thought I would be wrong on the deeper side, but the thing you need to know is how Hammond, I'll prove it to you right now, is the spot when you're coming from Hammond and going to New Orleans and you cross over, not the causeway, but when you're coming over straight down 55, you got to stop in Manchac. Thin fried catfish.
Stick with
Middendorf's.
Boom. Get it. Mark it there, Rip.
Best thin fried catfish on the planet, hands down.
I love that. That cornmeal batter.
Very light, thin batter, thin fried. They've got great hush puppies. They've got great cocktail sauce. They've got great, it's horseradish. I mean, it's unbelievable.
This poor man's eating crackers and cheese, working so hard in his office, talking about hush puppies. Second question. There's a current NFL running back who was born in Hammond and grew up in the neighborhooding city. I'm going to massacre this one. Ponchatoula. That wasn't even close.
Ponchatoula, which I'm okay with you butchering their name because that was my rival growing up.
Okay, good. Ponchatoula. Can you name him? Hint, he went to Tulane. Second hint, He shares the last name of a famous female pop artist, also from Louisiana.
Something Spears, Kalen Spears. What's?
Oh,
That's
it's
it.
right there for the people of Hammond. I actually like that you don't know this though, because he's
Yeah, I'm not going to
Ponchatoula.
recognize any Ponchatoula guy. Yeah, I'm gonna forget that out of my
Yeah,
head.
forget this. Tajay
We don't
Spears,
recognize-
NFL guy. Tajay Spears.
Tennessee Titans. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not
Tennessee-
recognizing Ponchatoula guys. Yeah.
No. That's like a Corona del Sol for me, Riff. We're not doing that. Okay, last one. Hammond has right around 20K people, I believe. How many McDonald's locations serve those residents of Hammond? How many Mickey D's?
In Hammond.
Well, they've grown since I've left, but I think there's 5.
Answer close. 4. We got one on Railroad Ave, one on Morrison, one off Airport Road, and of course the main header on Highway 190. But you're pretty Hammond, Josh. I would say 100% Hammond, right, Rip?
Now we're gonna give a shout out to Hammond. We got to talk about Tommy's Pizza and what Trey-In was one of those classic Chinese restaurants that closed. But when you get to Hammond, you got to hit. There's 2 things you got to hit. You got to hit. We talked about Middendorf's coming down, but in Hammond, Tommy's Pizza is an absolute classic. You cannot not eat there. And the second one is a place called Hi Ho Barbecue, which is unbelievable. It is unlike, it's not true barbecue, but it is just a unique sauce. And when I was a kid, I'm gonna show you how old I am. They had fries were 75 cents. A pork with cheese was like $1.25, but you can get a sauce bun for 35 cents, right? And that was just sauce, no meat. But what you do is you get with your buddies and you buy a couple porks with cheese, a couple sauce buns, and you could take some of the extra pork, put it on the sauce bun. Now you have 2 sandwiches with the fries, and then they give you some quarters where you can go play Street Fighter on the arcade machine. So that was a good day in Hammond, Louisiana.
That is the best day. What character you selected on Street Fighter?
I always start and finish with Ryu.
Oh, Ryu. Yeah, I was an M Bison guy. Ryu always got M Bison though. Yeah, good. Awesome, man. Thank you. Amazing story. And right to our producers. Let's get a little bit more specific next time, guys. Look at this. Great pizza spots.
When I go back to Hammond, my family knows those 2 things. I need Tommy's Pizza and I need Hi Ho Barbecue. Hands down.
You been back lately? You gonna get there this season?
I'm not gonna make it this season. That's the tough thing about this job. Hopefully I'll make it back early in the spring. We normally have an AD meeting in New Orleans every spring. Hopefully I can use that to get home during that time.
Cross that Lake Pontchartrain. All right, we end every interview with the segment we call 1 star to 5 star. DK talked about it. We're 1 stars. Everybody knows it, but we're trying to get a little better each show with some advice and tips from every guest we have on the podcast. So I just want to close it out with a few questions that run the gamut on a 1 to 5 star scale here.
All right, let's go.
All right, we mentioned earlier, we talked a little bit about it. You have 3 sons, 15-year-old twins, and also a 12-year-old, I believe. And I was going to ask you about kind of balancing that all out with your job, but you talked about it a little bit already. So I want to talk about the fact that they're all in sports, and you and your wife, it sounds like, are really in the thick of it right now. I have 2 sons of my own, 7 and 8 years old. What's the 5-star parenting tip you've learned over the past few years about really just how each child is different and recognizing that while also trying to parent all of them at the same time, but treating them as individuals?
Yeah, I think the first thing is nature is more powerful than nurture. I got 3 boys that could not be more opposites than all 3. So you have to know, it's like coaching, right? You treat everyone fair, but you don't treat everyone equally because they respond differently. I got one kid that you can be hard on, another kid that you can't be hard on. And you have to balance all that and understand their interests and their personalities are different, but celebrate what they love. I've got one that loves football and track. I got one that loves music. He'll do a little stuff, but music's his baby. And the other one loves soccer. So celebrate their wins. But then I also tell them that any one of their successes is all their successes. So there's no jealousy in this family. We celebrate everything together. If one has a great day, we all celebrate it together. But I think learning to appreciate their differences is the most important thing.
That's huge, and I think a lot of our listeners can benefit from that. So it's helpful to hear that perspective from someone who's not only been through it but going through it right now. So number 2 here, we got, all right, I think we're 8 days out now. Georgia Clemson is August 31st in Atlanta. We're actually, just how the calendar falls, we're talking to Graham Neff, who's been over at Clemson on Monday. He's the AD over there. Do you got any 1 to 5 star trash talk for Graham that we can pass down the phone on Monday for him? For that game in 8 days?
Graham and I are good buddies. We've got a very close relationship. We've been friends since 2017, and we've kind of came up with the same route. But if you want to trash talk him a little bit, just say that that I heard that he said I'm his greatest mentor, and I've been a great mentor for him throughout his career. I just heard that through the grapevine.
That's good. That's 5-star trash talk. I love it. Everyone's going to be glued to that Mercedes-Benz Dome game there in 8 days in Atlanta. And let's just roll into it, close it out with one for the Bulldogs fans. Neither DK and I have ever been to Athens, but we want to take you up on that open invitation.
Open invitation.
We can get down there in the fall because
Done.
we've all heard about the mystique of game day, the history, the tailgating, the passion of Georgia fans. You've been a part of that school for, I think it's over a decade now. Kind of hard to believe. But
I'm on my 14th year. Yeah.
14th year. What's the 5-star quality about those fans and just that atmosphere in Athens that you've seen over the years that makes that sports scene so special down there?
It's just an intense passion. I mean, it's we got a wide range of fans, but we have a lot of blue collar fans who work, tough 8 to 5 gigs, who this is their escape from reality, and their happiness, their joy, their sense of community is built around Georgia athletics, and a lot of it's built around Georgia football. So when they come in for a game on Saturday, their next week or their next couple weeks is based off this game's success. And that passion bleeds over into the stadium, and then you feel it with the juice of when we score a touchdown or when we win. It's nothing like it. And we've got so many cool traditions, from the lone bugler to it's Saturday night. I mean, it's just so many cool traditions that they'll raise the hairs on the back of your neck. So y'all need to come check it out. You got invitations, so just let me know.
Where you're gonna get that email and you're gonna be like, I can't believe these guys are actually gonna come out here. But look, Josh, it's got to be done. I'm telling you, we've talked to a lot of ADs and a lot of coaching staffs. Everybody has Athens circled. I mean, we got Big Dog at Kentucky, defensive guy, talking about that game circled. You get the best football when people come to town because they're playing the best team.
Yeah, it's a good day.
Hey, everyone can go follow Josh, big Twitter guy. It's at Brooks_UGA on Twitter. Actually bigger on Instagram at Josh G. Brooks.
I've moved more to Instagram's a happier place. So
I couldn't have said it better myself. And anything you want to know about Georgia athletics can be found on GeorgiaDogs.com. You can find this man in Atlanta next Saturday, probably having lunch with Graham Neff over at Clemson. Josh, best of luck to you. Keep setting that shining example of what an AD and really a dad should be. Thank you for coming on with the 1 stars, and we would love to be down there this fall in Athens. Maybe a live podcast down there from Sanford Stadium. Who knows?
Got it. Appreciate you guys.
Special thanks again to Georgia AD Josh Brooks. He's a dad of boys just like me, DK. I'm sure he's in the same mode, getting back to school. We got a fantasy draft coming up in about 72 hours. Are you, is Ladd McConkey one of your sleepers? Can you spill some beans here on 1-star recruits?
Yeah, let's talk a little fantasy football because it's faux pas for us. We think it's uncool. Overthat.com. And I want to talk about it because it's come up this week. Go ahead, Rip. Put in because we're going to. Go ahead.
Insert Laughlin, Nevada. Area
City of,
code 702.
yes. Pay this man some money, City of Laughlin. He's getting 9 new bodies there. I already guaranteed an investment of $500 into Wheel of Fortune simply based on his recommendations on this podcast multiple times. Where did I leave with that? Oh, Big Ladd, Rip. Yes, absolutely. And I want to talk about a couple other things when I wrap up this point here. But speaking of Ladd, you want to get your mind blown. Are you prepared to have your tits ripped? What are some other sayings?
Your hair shook. I have no idea,
Your hair shook, my partner says. He leaves me hanging when then your hair shook. That 2021 Georgia Bulldogs roster, Rip, was absolutely loaded. Take a gander. Take a guess how many players currently on NFL rosters from simply that 2021 Georgia Bulldogs team, including our guy Ladd.
Wow. You wouldn't be asking this question if it wasn't a lot. So I'm going to say 22.
22 is a great guess. No, Dirk Nowitzki, bro. Dirk Nowitzki. 41 players.
That is incredible. That's absolutely incredible.
I'm going to have to do this. This is bad podcasting. You can 10-second through this part. I'm doing it. I don't care. This is for our real 1 stars right here, though. Quarterback, Stenson Bennett, Rams. Carson Beck, potentially a first-round overall pick. So we're just going to put him in there because it's coming. Kenny McIntosh, Seahawks. Zamir White, big fantasy guy, Raiders. James Cook, Bills. Kendall Milton, Eagles. Dejon Edwards, just released. So Steelers, I think this is hot off the presses today. There's a lot of cuts though today, so this could be bad podcasting. You get the point though. The rest are offensive linemen, defensive linemen. Devontae Wyatt, I'm seeing Nolan Smith popping up. These are game changers. These are so 41 dudes. Rip might be the best college roster of all time. This team, this 2021 roster right here, might compete and beat the Panthers of the NFL.
I don't think they're taking the Panthers, but 41 is an incredible number.
Cheers to Coach Smart. Cheers to the program, Josh. Well done. That's it when you're talking football. I mean, and you're getting production out of these guys. Fantasy minute. Let's switch over. Let's keep it going. Keep it going here. Rolling into some fantasy minute. We'll do quick hitters. Let's start, Rip. You're right off the bat. One player people gave up on who will have a huge year this year. I'll give you a second to think. I'll take it. I'll take it before you take it from me because he's a 1-star. I want to do it before you do it. I'm taking Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer will have a huge year. 1,000 plus yards. Josh Palmer.
I'm going with a dark horse that everybody is down on right now. Daniel Jones, DK. People forget that he contributes to the quarterback position as also a rusher. I'm going Daniel Jones, 3,500 yards, 25 passing touchdowns, and 7 rushing touchdowns. He's going to be a QB, top 10 fantasy QB, DK. Mark it.
Wow. He looks terrible in the preseason, Rip. That is a wild thing to say. That might be one of my teams for question 3. The Giants, the New York Football Giants, that might be on my number 3 question here. Sticking with players, though. One player that people are big on, and they should just be very careful with. They should tread lightly.
Definitely going with Travis Kelce on this one. He's been too out there. He's still considered the number 1 tight end in fantasy football, but he's all over the place. He's also a little older now. So I've been waiting for that shoe to drop on Travis Kelce and his production to decline. I understand he's on probably the best offense in the league, but I think this could be the year where Travis Kelce does not produce like he has in the past.
He's hot off a $300 million podcast deal from Amazon with his brother.
That's
he might be
part
chilling.
Of the problem. Part of the problem.
Might be chilling, Rip. That's one. I'm going to go with another 1-star. My theme's 1-stars. Kyren Williams was on the show. Tread carefully. Not for Kyron's fault per se. I'm a little nervous about some of the injuries in the foot and the ankle at that position. Always makes me nervous. Also, he got all the carries last year. This offense is going to be much more diverse. And Blake Corum is coming for some of those carries. He looks good in the preseason. So I like him, but just tread lightly. Kyren Williams, people looking for him. Just tread lightly, knowing that ball's gonna get split up in that backfield. Next one, Rip. 100% stay away team. You want nothing to do with. One NFL team that's just a non-starter, no compete team for you.
Sadly, I have to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. They not only do they have 2 quarterbacks, they have 2 bad quarterbacks, and that affects everyone else on the offense. I mean, Najee Harris, I think, has had 1,000 yards almost every year, but he's a boring running back and a boring offense. And if the Steelers are going to win, it's going to be with their defense. So I'm seeing a lot of 12-9 games in Pittsburgh. So I'm staying away from the Steelers.
2 mid running backs, you'll say, but a great wide receiver. Guess where he's from, Rip? Mind blown. George Pickens from Georgia, from the 2021 team that has 41 players in the league. How wild is that, bro? It's a wild time. I'm staying away from, well, there's 2 teams. I'm going to stay away from the Panthers. I made the Adam Thielen mistake late last year, and I held on to it too long, thinking that he could be a safety net maybe within the red zone. This weird vision, none of that worked out. I'm going to stay away from them completely. I think they've gotten worse. I'm also very nervous. I think I'm going to stay away from a team that a lot of people are interested in. I'm going to stay away from the Cincinnati Bengals this year. I'm nervous about Joe Burrow's wrist. And without Joe Burrow, that is not the same squad at all. And I think there's more value to be had. Last one, Rip, a second low-tier quarterback who has high potential. Someone you that will definitely be available if you want to grab a late quarterback, because you're one of those players who might be smart and know that quarterbacks get injured in this league. I'm really hot on Michael Penix. He was not on this podcast, but we had his coach when he was at Indiana on this podcast, and we've been following him close ever since. Just a guy that's, everything is weird about that draft, and it's still strange until you see him in the uniform, making the plays, and then being able to also run and open the pocket a little bit more. I think there could be quarterback controversy and injury opportunity as well for the Atlanta Falcons. So Michael Penix Jr., who you got?
All right, I feel like that's a deep cut because yeah, he's not even the starter. I mean, there's a confirmed starter over there, but I'm gonna go with a rookie as well who is a confirmed starter, and it's Bo Nix. And I don't believe in the Broncos. They'll probably win 7, 8 games, but Bo Nix is another one of those Daniel Jones cut guys, so where he can rush the ball. So I'm looking at, even if he throws 20 touchdowns, he could have 8 rushing touchdowns if he starts the whole year. So he can return some value as maybe a QB2 in fantasy.
Well, Drake May's out there too. Nice one, Rip. Not bad. So there's some of those names down there, and those are just gut checks usually. Those are gut checks. You have a little something you think you might know, and the quarterback position is changing. We'll move off fantasy football with just one last fun fact. Josh Allen has as many career rushing touchdowns, 52, as Christian McCaffrey. So let that sink in as you prepare for your draft too, and think about where you're selecting some of these players, especially with guys like Anthony Richardson and Lamar Jackson out there with that stat that I just read. So onward and upward. Let's do 1-star moments, Rip. What's your 1-star moment?
I had a new laptop at work this week, and I'm always weary of change, and I dread that kind of stuff where you have to change everything over and get new email address, and we're really migrating from Microsoft to Google, so it's a big thing. And my 1-star moment of the week, I got the message from IT. It's what everyone knows that never works. There's 3 words in IT that people always say, but I don't think has worked once in the history of IT. Clear your cache, DK. Clear your cache, log out, reboot the computer, log back in, and everything's going to be magically fixed. So it didn't work. Stuff got escalated. I'm still having issues. So I just hate to hear those words. And everybody that works in an office job with a laptop knows that clear your cache never works. So please get that out of your vocabulary. Don't clear your cache. I hate it.
Is a stressed out man, listeners, that you hear right here. School starting, work's difficult. He's having a hard time clearing cash. It's tough, Rip. It's tough. We're steady securing athletic directors. You know what's crazy? They really like coming on with us. I get a lot of useful information. Usually the stuff that I get back onto X, do the follow, and then it's really kind of a storyline that hasn't been written yet. So it's like this kind of mystery novella going on with which each school, how they're going to make it work, how they're not. Dabo, Coach Sweeney at Clemson doesn't mess with the free agency market, the portal at all in college football. And this roster will be the first time we're going to really see how much if you don't play the hands that are available, if you decide to sit hands out instead of get on the field and play in this situation, it's really getting the portal, how it affects you. We'll see. We love homegrown stuff, but you don't really win championships in any sport right now without the right free agents filling the right holes on your boat at the right time. That's what I got, Rip. My 1-star moment of the week for me was so incredibly embarrassing, but there's a lesson too in it. Incredibly embarrassing, though, for an adult male man to go through what I went through. It's a lesson in trying to be too smart and outsmarting the game for a small monetary gain. There's a thin line between success and disaster, and I rode that line this week with a car that we have. So we have this car that is completely dead. The battery's dead, but the battery won't even jump because it's missing connections. We think possibly lizards ate some cords and it's not talking to each other. I'm not a car guy. Rip. This car this was the car that we drove out of the Lahaina fires with, got it out here eventually, and then it really just sat for about 6 months. So it's just a completely dead car. Now, the goal is to get it to the shop to get everything fixed. New battery. They call me and tell me the accelerator doesn't connect to the extinct. Whatever happens at car places, most likely. I hope they're not listening to this podcast. You got a pretty big sucker right now. I'm just going to say cool at this point in time. That's how bad of a car situation that it was. But my problem was I had to get it from point A to point B, and they don't tow. So I had to tow it. So there's a gentleman here that I live with near on the property in another area who has a truck, a flatbed truck. We live on a hill with an angle. I could put the car into neutral. We had an idea that if we could lower the flatbed, take it enough speed going in neutral down this hill to hit it at the right place We can just roll right up on it. No problem. It seemed doable, but when he explained the initial game plan, it was shaky. It was older age Pete Carroll rip going on where I still was going to do it, but I was pretty suspicious it wasn't going to work. And I should have trusted that right there. Probably should have let Coach Carroll go earlier in the season. You know what I mean? So I say cool though. So we do it. So we set it up. We measure, we set it up. What we didn't measure was the length of the car to the bed. Keep that in mind. An important measurement you should do. But we lined it up with the steering wheel, set me up for success. We go. We get enough speed. We hit it pretty hard, but I just missed to the right. And the right is right into my driver's side, a tire that's already on its last leg, listeners. This isn't like a brand new vehicle, but bam, 7.5-inch puncture right through the axle of the wheel, right into it. Blows up, fucking tire deflates, car goes to the left-hand side. Just getting it off the flatbed at that point in time became incredibly like just another situation, Rip. I'm sure you'd love to have it on camera here on the island and on the ranch of me doing stuff. But eventually we got it down. And then the lesson, the long story short of what I should have done 2 weeks ago, was call the tow truck guy who came up here and did his little thing and connected his thing and hit the button and it lifted up the tire and it just did it for $249. It's probably going to cost me about a G in front damage and tire damage to that vehicle for your boy. 1-star moment, meaning trying to save a couple $100. 1-star moment. Car edition. It continues. It continues.
Man, I'm guilty of it myself, trying to save the little bit of money, and that ends up costing you more in the long run. Again, yeah, like you said, I would love to have video of that. You need to install a camera. I'm gonna pay $249 to get a camera installed for you.
It was pretty funny. Kimmy was watching. She said it was pretty funny. She was complimentary. She was proud of me for trying. Because that's not a normal person would have gut checked that and got out as soon as we realized. I knew not a great idea. But who knows? You got to try new shit, Rip. What's your recommendation of the week? Recommend something for us to do that we can activate on.
All right, you're going to love this one. Everybody can activate it on it. This is all for all the people in Athens, Georgia. This place is around the whole country. It's in Atlanta, outside the Mercedes-Benz zone. There's one in Laughlin, Dequay, inside the Aquarius Casino. It's your favorite place. Your sandwich artist. It's Subway. I'm telling you now, tip for everybody. They got footlongs. Most of the footlongs at Subway are $6.99 right now between now and September 8th. It's a nationwide deal, DK. You're definitely getting one during our Laughlin trip. Your favorite place, Subway. Let's go.
I won't. I put it in the rafters. It's up there with Cheez-Its. I told you I won't. I stopped after sandal bread, and they haven't had me back, and I converted to Jersey Mike's. I'm not ashamed of it. And I will get a Jersey Mike's while I'm in Laughlin to rub it in your face. For $9.99 probably. But I'm not a Subway guy, Rip. They lost me. They lost me with the sandal bread. I'm out. My 1-star recommendation is for animal lovers out there. Whenever your pets have to use any type of neck protection for whatever reasons, all kinds of shit that comes up in the life of pets. We came across this brand Zen collar, Rip, especially it's like an airplane pillow, full circle for these animals. One of my dogs loves it. One hates it. The one who loves it has stopped some serious butt licking, some incredibly offensive paw licking, and now has just used it as a life pillow, more or less, and seems to really enjoy himself when he gets put in a Zen collar. So if you're looking for to just chill your pet out a little bit, who might be a little wild, look up Zen collar. Cop yourself one.
Some good recommendations this week. I like anybody in the country can use both of those, with anybody with a dog and anyone with an appetite.
What are you saying? I usually do rich person Hawaii specific stuff, or what? I'm not a man of the people.
The listeners have said that before, so yeah, you know how it goes.
Dude, I'm outside of the bubble, man. I'm out doing stuff. I'm going to Laughlin. You can catch me in Flagstaff, Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona, Bullhead City at the Dairy Queen, listeners, if you want to share a blizzard. I'm a man of the people. Rips Reacts, hit the music. Montana State, which was paid speaking of that moolah, $360,000 to travel to New Mexico for a week 0 matchup. They overcame a 17-point fourth quarter deficit to secure the first FCS win of the season. Rip, name one example in your life that you overcame expectations.
Okay, DK, I'm gonna go with last spring, 2 springs ago. I was a t-ball coach in Long Beach Little League, and at the end of the season party, people thought I was gonna have nothing for the kids. I didn't give out game balls, but I spent some time and I personalized a laminated award for each kid, the Hustle Award, the Team Spirit Award, stuff like that. So each kid, I'm sure, 30 years from now in their attic is gonna pull that out one day and say, "Hey, I remember that guy. He was a good coach. That was a fun team. That was my introduction to baseball. I overcame those expectations of not having anything."
I just made a 500 level bet with producer Winston that you would say you outkicked the coverage in your marriage, but you went a completely different direction. You are really a manager now, Rip. Things have changed. Life has changed. Life has adjusted for you, bro. This is a new era. Netflix has announced a new docuseries. You love it. This could be good, Rip. It's following the basketball teams in the Paris Olympics, so it's going to feature all 3 medal teams. That's the USA, France, and Serbia, the only teams that you really want to watch in this. It's kind of exciting. I will watch. But here's the hot take. I'm kind of slowing down on sports documentaries. This is very honest. I saw the Steve McNair and the Connor Stallions documentaries pop up, and I have a very low interest to click ratio for some reason. I think I might have hit burnout area in sports documentaries. Rip, what's your level of burnt on sports docs?
I'm right with you. I scrolled past those. I'm pretty much at a 9 or 10 right now. I spent a couple hours the last 2 nights watching your other favorite show, Emily in Paris. I chose those over the sports docs, and there's just too many, and especially Netflix. Like, I love Netflix, but there's only so many hours in a day, and you got to switch it up every once in a while. I'm at a 10.
Comedian Adam Land, can we get something Emily in Paris for his Laughlin t-shirt? I don't know what that means. You can get creative with it. But between Laughlin and Emily in Paris, just pay the guy his money. You're obsessed. And it makes listeners maybe not trust your opinion as much when you say stuff like that, Rip, on this podcast. But I appreciate you being who you are, bro. You're honest. You really love some trash. Quite trashy individual at times. Quite lovely. Quite smart. Jordan Brand signed its first college football name, image, and likeness deal with USC bros, Zachariah and Zion Branch. Rip, tell the 1 stars something about these dudes.
Their names both start with Z. That's all I know. That's it, man. That's all I got for you. They're not the same Brown brothers. Zacharias and Zeke. What was it?
Zion. What do you mean? You're a resident LA guy. This is the biggest news to hit USC since Caleb.
Never heard of him.
Onik at Shooting 2 is going to be pissed off with this hot take. Get your stock now. Zion Branch, his brother Zach. New Balance unveiled an ad after signing 17-year-old Duke star and the next Jason Williams. They're pretty fly, actually, these New Balances, Rip. Does Cooper Flagg move the needle for you on becoming a full-time New Balance guy?
Absolutely not. I'm a Hoka addict at this point. If I see a college athlete, a big-time basketball player sign a Hoka deal, I will be ready to buy another pair. But I'm all in already, so it's really just gonna keep me a customer. Let me see a Hoka deal, DK. That's what I need right now.
Georgia fans, Clemson fans, enjoy this weekend. We're going back to back. We got Georgia this week. We're gonna come back next week with Clemson AD, Graham Neff. Fun stuff, exciting times. Good luck with school, Rip. Give us a school song. Can you please just sing us out with the Billy Madison school song one time, bro?
I am done singing on this podcast. Maybe at some point I'll do the national anthem, but I got nothing.
I'll start you, Rip. Come on. Back to school. Back to school. Proof to dad. Come on, Rip.
I'm just gonna fade that out. I'm gonna fade that out for the 1 star listeners.
Come on. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.